this official part of the competition in the Lid Mash, put your hands together and welcome up to the stage, Dana German.
Happy birthday, Lid Mash. So, old book. I brought one of these to sell. One poem. Yes. Week's been long, now this. Found $20 on the sidewalk. No shit, I'm drinking a beer. Car crash happened on my street today. I wasn't there. Sunset is somewhere just under the tops of downtown buildings. Got a lit candle and some classical radio. Somebody else has a crashed car. That's when I think of her without really thinking of her. After all, when she's not here, she's just an idea. Thanks. A context without action. Anyhow, whatever, the point is, here is the senseless mess of the sculpture house your parents' basement has become. Newspaper monoliths, mobiles of grounded dirt clods, scat catalog, and the invitation to touch nothing until a death, and only then with gloves. Shadows in a room without love, faces occluded, but looking, and finding contours that could use white walls to catch some contrast for a vantage from a seashell eye. None of these, however, branded galactic, staring back profane, museum-worthy, starting their fold, their collapse, just for the eye to limp into while consuming all at once. Filthy parents. Their spaceship is just a tin can careening into traffic. And their persistence never ceases to instruct. Now is not the time to go. Nor is now. Nor now. To guess their end is as oddly satisfying as drawing speculative portraits of yet unfallen leaders as they're pulled from their hidey holes and confessed. Whatever. The point is to collect compositions near mess in all the shapes of life. And a cast of strokes of the days, some electric, some smoke. Reality. People have to die for the future to exist. Mascara scrawl leaves etchings across the wall of the physical eye. Here is all what dreams will allow. And gender is tragic. Your parents' usual was to sample only what sex allots. Once skinny and bad with their hairs long, before they came down collected with a bad case of gin and tonic Christianity. Sure, they tried their beast for looking up. More than one way for picking up the sky. More than one way to toss that coin that just kept coming up, missionary. Anyhow, whatever, the point is, here is the senseless mess of a sculpture house your parents' basement has become. Newspaper monoliths, mobiles of grounded dirt clods, a scat catalog, and the invitation to touch nothing until a death, and only then with gloves. And a prose poem. Thank you, guys. Why the Bees Are Hiding, or How One Girl Ate Chicago. It began very simply, and like most things, it was spring, and she was hungry. Not only for filling her stomach, but for the act of eating. Hell of a long way from apples and chocolate. Soon my apartment was going without walls. Pieces of my roommate lodged in her back molars. A humble hunger pang that never quit shape itself into savory flavors of whacker-dried skyscrapers, all cake-like, crumbling. Uptown cafes, each chilly little juice boxes. Then the exquisite sprouting sandwich of the Lincoln Park Conservatory with a side of Lakeshore Drive, pieces of the longest noodle. She wasn't going to any Mecca. She would have it built in her stomach. She would become it. She would piss a line, and the line would become time. She would shit gold, and the gold would become shit, and the little transformed shits gods of gold beside the golden piss river. Her wild eyes and mouth told me about dreams of supper in the white jungle, where tender, sweetened orchid meat was served atop slabs of flash-fried, supergiant koi on plates the size of park benches. Rich purple wood and mirror glass milks, flavored with black bee honey, poured out slow and generous, jar by singing jar. And the melon grape carafes pouring, stacking in coin shapes, the juice melting upward, each becoming its own glass. Each tasting of smoothed mosaics, coaxing a glowing heat from the teeth and color from the eyes. The delicate lava-seared butterfly and fresh pear palm salad mashed a dessert of cocoa sugar dusted over crisp, ripe alligator hearts. Their strawberry cream taste turning rose the moon and language into pepper and bubbles in the throat. Then the tongue worked deliciously over the edges of the mouth, itself a crag of unsheathed coral. Nobody rode the train anymore on account of all the missing tracks. And she was getting full by then, going missing for weeks at a time. One afternoon I go looking, and by evening, I found her on Mars. Here she's grown a third eye, her hair now a blue flame. She embraces me, and suddenly my heart is an appendage on the end of my hand. She's speaking a language that's sounding like numbers pronounced upside down and backwards, and I sense she's making some argument for the unified field. Here she's probably executing the last desires of superconsciousness, this thing not yet mute in the face of those classically, spectacularly poor communicators, money and art. Even if I didn't comprehend, it sounded pretty enough for me to want to spend my whole summer vacation right there, building typewriters out of Martian sand so I could write screenplays or poems or anything to build Chicago all over again, elsewhere. Thanks.
Yeah! Keep going, Dana German.